for Charlie George, who can hit them. Oh, look, we go! Charlie George!
Discussing Arsenal football. This is Brian's review show.
Henry! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.
And you're very welcome to this Brian's review show discussing Arsenal football. On this podcast episode, I will be discussing the victory over West Ham at the weekend in London, and also I'll be previewing the game against Leeds at the weekend on Sunday, and also a mention for the Arsenal women's team who defeated Tottenham during the week as well, which is also for all Arsenal fans a welcome sight indeed. Now, of course, before I discuss Arsenal football, just a mention for the crazy stuff that happened in the Champions League semi-final. Now, I'm recording this on a Thursday, so the Champions League semi-final took place last night, and the game, of course, I'm referring to is between Real Madrid and Manchester City. And just an incredible finish to the game, and City really, such control during the game. Riyad Mahrez scored that goal in I think it was the 76th minute or something like that, and just the way Madrid came back. And they've done it like so many times throughout this year's tournament. The PSG game and then the Chelsea game, and now the Manchester City game just looked second best for a lot of the tie, and then just came back. And they're like a good boxer, I suppose. They attack when their moment is right, and I think that's what happened in this case. Just a phenomenal performance, and they of course go on now to face Liverpool in the Champions League final. But of course, this is an Arsenal podcast, so I will be discussing Arsenal. But a quick mention for Dani Ceballos from Real Madrid, of course, has got through now to the Champions League final, former Arsenal player. And of course, Francis Coquelin, who scored a header during the week against Liverpool, which was something. There wasn't too many times that Francis Coquelin scored too many goals for Arsenal, but I do remember a great performance he did against Manchester City all those years ago, back in, I think it was 2015. Against Manchester City 2-0 victory at the Etihad Stadium, and we thought that the Coquelin-Cazorla partnership was going to be working beautifully in midfield. And in fairness to Coquelin, he's had a good career since leaving Arsenal. He was at Valencia, I think, for a bit, and then he went to eventually to Villarreal. So although he was on the losing side in the end, he definitely had a good season in the Champions League. Now, going back to last Sunday, of course, we took on West Ham in the London Stadium. We, of course, were building on momentum that we had from the Manchester United victory the week before, and, of course, the Chelsea victory. So we were looking for a third straight win in a row to kind of continue our pursuit of Champions League football, and it worked a treat, although not convincingly. But as the old saying goes, we got there in the end. It was goals, and, of course, Rob Holding, Gabriel, that got the victory for us, two centre backs, which is an interesting stat from the match. A couple of, just in terms of stats, some interesting bits to take from the match. In terms of shots on target, we had 7 shots on target compared to West Ham's 3. I can't really recall, in terms of serious moments in terms of goal chances for West Ham in the second half. But in the first half, for sure, they had a bit more of a threat. Arsenal had 5 shots off target compared to West Ham's 1, and the possession stat is basically 44% for Arsenal and 56% for West Ham. And West Ham did have a lot of the ball for sure, but I think it was a lot of Arsenal's will to defend and all that kind of stuff, which was, a positive aspect to see. And it's creeped into our game the last while, I think, especially with the teams that we've, played with in the past. But yeah, going back to at the start of the game, starting lineup, great to see Tomiyasu back and right back again. That was very much a welcome sight, and I thought he lasted a lot longer than I thought he would throughout the game. He was eventually substituted in the 78th minute of the game, so he lasted a good while. He went down, it was believed to be possibly a calf injury that might have been stirring up again, but turned out it was only just cramp, which was great news. And even his performance alone was very positive. I thought wasn't afraid to get stuck in. Rob Holding, I thought, was absolutely fantastic. For me, one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. I think he had a great game, and he was named man of the match as well. Hugely positive performance from Rob Holding. And Rob Holding, like a bit like Mohamed El Neni in midfield, great squad player to have. Not necessarily a starter, because of course the news before the game was that Ben White was missing for the game, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. But Rob Holding just slotted in there nicely with Gabriel and did a great job, in fairness, throughout the game. I think Gabriel had a decent game also. Tavares, at times I thought he was starts the game a bit shaky, but to be fair to me, grew into the game a good bit as well. And then he just slotted in nicely into midfield there himself and Xhaka, just provide that bit of balance and I suppose assurance in midfield, which is a welcome sight. Bukayo Saka, of course, was dangerous as always. I love Martin Odegaard. Listen, I love watching Martin Odegaard. He's just such a classy player to watch. His vision on the ball, he's kind of a leader on the field and provided some excellent passes throughout the game. Martinelli was a bit quieter, I thought, but one thing I like about Martinelli, he always works hard in every game he plays for Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah, I thought, was very unlucky not to get a goal up front. He's continuing his fine form towards the end of the season. The great thing about Nketiah is he provides you something different to what Lacazette would provide you with up front. Not that Lacazette doesn't provide anything, of course he does, in terms of goal setup and winning the ball kind of high up the field and holding the ball up for someone like Saka or Martinelli or Smith Rowe to come on to. But what I like about Nketiah just offers you a completely different dimension when he's playing. And there's a couple of times Odegaard played him inside and he just got beyond the defence and just he looks really dangerous when he goes up in front of goal. And to be fair to me, I thought he had a decent game as well. I don't think it was a great game really in terms of quality. Of course, us Arsenal fans won't be too concerned by the lack of good football play. It's all about results now at this point of the season. But I think that was a bit of a disappointing aspect of the game for sure, from a neutral perspective. Um, if you go through the game, like Arsenal didn't really have many clear cut chances for the first couple of minutes of the game. I think the best chance we had was an Eddie Nketiah chance, which was basically in the 38th minute. It was a good save from Fabianski, but it was a very good opportunity for Eddie Nketiah to score, but his effort was turned behind by Fabianski. This was leading up to the corner chance that eventually led to the first goal. Arsenal scored a lovely, beautiful cross in from Bukayo Saka and an excellent header from Rob Holding, who worked really hard to get in behind Lanzini, and just a lovely little header. Reminding of the goal in the Europa League last season, you might remember the goal Gabriel got. I think it was against Benfica, if I'm not mistaken. It was just a nice quality leap in the air kind of goal. Just for some reason, it reminded me of that when I saw it live at the time. But Rob Holding goal was just a bit of quality and nice, powerful header. Worked really hard to get it, and a centre halves goal. But they all count, and it's part of the game. And a nice, crucial goal from an Arsenal point of view. Just a nice bit of play from Arsenal. Nice quality cross in from Saka, beautifully lifted in, and then Holding there just to hit it into the net past Fabianski. And of course, it was an ideal time to score just before half time. At the time I was saying just hold on Arsenal until half time, keep the lead. That's all we want at this stage. Um, possession stats at that point were interesting. We were only on 49% possession to West Ham's 51, so it was relatively even in possession. Like the first half of the game, most of it was kind of the two defenses just you know basically defending for their lives, and the attackers of both sides just couldn't break them down. But the disappointing aspect was the way Arsenal kind of reacted to taking the lead. There was a great cross in from, I think it was Four Niles for West Ham. He just crossed in the ball, and Declan Rice, caught it beautifully and just nearly went into the goal. It was a fantastic save from Aaron Ramsdale. It was a very good save, actually, just palmed the ball away from the goal. But that kind of cross, like it just out of nothing, and just as I said, a great cross from Four Niles. Rice was there, headed it straight in, great power, and Ramsdale just parried it away from the goal, and it was a decent save. And that ball was coming in at power as well, so it was very important that the likes of I think Gabriel cleared the ball after that, but it was just that moment, like at the time, we were sensing a bit of danger. West Ham certainly were on top. Then after that, they looked really dangerous, and I just, what eventually led to the goal. Then it was a really disappointing goal to give away from an Arsenal point of view. I think our defending wasn't great, but I think it was a fantastic bit of quality from Jared Bowen. Lovely little dink cross, and it was just the touch and everything that he provided and the finish. It was a great finish. Took a deflection, of course, off. I think it was Gabriel hit off, and it was just unfortunate. Fucking deflection that took the ball away from Ramsdale. But the annoying thing for me about that goal was the way just we conceded another goal so soon after scoring ourselves, and this has become a real issue. I think the last while with Arsenal, it's just a frustrating aspect. It must be driving the manager absolutely fucking bonkers, to be honest. Because if you go back to the Chelsea game, we conceded two goals quite quickly after scoring each time. And Kelly got the first goal, then Werner got the next goal for Chelsea inside, I think it was 2 or 3 minutes, and then Arsenal got the second goal, a great goal from Smith Rowe on the counter attack, and then again they conceded a soft goal a couple of minutes after that from Aspilicueta. Them kind of goals against top teams, they usually punish you. And then the game against Manchester United, we had a 2-0 lead, Saka with a lovely penalty, and then bang, then Ronaldo comes in and scores not even 2 minutes after Saka scores the second goal. It's just become a huge issue, and it came up again here against West Ham. Take the lead, and then we scored. I think it was in the 38th minute we scored, and then West Ham scored in the 45th minute. So it's a really frustrating aspect, and it's something Arsenal really have got to cut out between now and the end of the season, and going into the Leeds game and the last 4 games of the season. We need to definitely stop this issue from happening in future games. And then going into the second half was a very cagey affair, but then in the 53rd minute, then Bukayo Saka had a brilliant chance on goal, a good save from Fabianski. Just on the near post there, but it just nearly snuck in at the time, and that powers that Saka comes in from the side and just hits it with the left foot, and nearly very close to going into the near post there, but again a strong hand from Fabianski that led to the corner then. That eventually led to Gabriel Martinelli crossing the ball in, and a fantastic bullet of a header from Gabriel to hit it in past Fabianski, who could do nothing about the ball going into the back of the net, although he did try his best, but just the power of the ball brought the ball into the back of the net, and it was a great goal. Smart play from Gabriel. He made a bit of space for himself, came in from behind and just slotted in nicely into the goal, and an important goal for Arsenal, right in front of the Arsenal fans as well, which was also fantastic, and a big goal. And as I said, two headers, the two centre backs scored the goals, and like every goal is important going into the last couple of games, and it's hugely pivotally important that we continue this momentum going into the last couple of games. But yeah, a fantastic moment, a fantastic goal from Gabriel on the 55th minute. And to be fair, from there on, although West Ham did have more of the possession, I felt that Arsenal generally were in pretty good control of the game. A couple of minutes after that, there was a nice 1-2 football with Martinelli and Nketiah, and Nketiah just hit a long shot then that was, saved comfortably by Fabianski in goal. It was just some nice little football from Arsenal there around that time. I was like around the 59th minute, and then a couple of minutes after that, in the 65th minute, then Nketiah had another good chance from outside the box, but again, Fabianski had it under control. But just I think Arsenal were just trying to defend. They're very good. I think in games in the past, they can, if they're holding on to a lead, they have improved great aspects on that, from set pieces and defending the ball, and just having a good line, 2 lines of 4, defending the goal. It's really, it's a positive aspect that's come into Arteta's reign over the years. Then, like in the 73rd minute or something, Mohamed El Neni picked up the ball from a West Ham attack. He got the ball and just pierced the ball through the opponent's defence with the lovely through ball, and Nketiah was through in goal and took the ball forward, and just again a narrow miss, but it missed the target, like, and it was beaten Fabianski as well, just so close. And if Arsenal got that third goal, it would have been game set match at that point, but we had to hang on a bit more then. And it was just you're wondering to yourself, is this going to be another fucking one of those games that we're going to let it slip by? Fabianski did make a few saves in the second half. There was 3 or 4 certainly from Nketiah, and 2 then from Saka. Like, so, In terms of like Arsenal did look dangerous on the counter every time West Ham pressed up high. Yeah, when Antonio came off the bench for West Ham, I expected him to make a bit of an impact, and he did look dangerous at times, to be fair. But I think Arsenal generally had him under wraps for the game, and of course West Ham be focusing on the Europa League tie as well against Frankfurt. But I suppose the pivotal moment in the second half was the Ramsdale supposed challenge on Jared Bowen, and yeah, at the time I was fucking very nervous about it because Ramsdale came flying out of the goal and just got ahead of Bowen and did get contact on the ball before the man, and but seeing it live though I was like it seemed very reckless from Ramsdale at the time. Definitely Jens Lehmann mold there for sure in that moment, but luckily there was nothing given. um, I noticed that Bowen wasn't too bothered by the tackle either. He wasn't looking for anything either. So, but again, that could have swung either way. I've seen that go wrong in the past. For not remember last was it last season when Leno got sent off against Wolves? I think during lockdown. Um, just moments like that, they can really, change the game so rapidly. And thankfully, it didn't in this case. We held on, and an absolute crucial 3 points for Arsenal. I seen the celebrations at the end were great. Some criticism from certain parts of the media, Chris Sutton and people like that saying, like, you think Arsenal won the league by the way they're celebrating. I was thinking to myself, well, how would you expect your team to react after getting a crucial win away from home against one of your London rivals in a big game? You're fighting for European football. Of course, you're going to acknowledge that in some way. And I don't think Arsenal didn't even celebrate as much as they normally or would have done in the past. I noticed some words between Gabriel and Xhaka during the celebrations with the fans, which I thought was interesting as well. But like, can't like it was a huge 3 points for Arsenal. There was pressure on them going into this game because Leicester had lost to Tottenham earlier in the day. Tottenham bet them 3-1. So the pressure was back on Arsenal again to get the 3 points to go above Tottenham once again on 2 points, which they achieved by beating West Ham, which was absolutely crucial for that top four race. And of course, they were going to acknowledge that. And I enjoyed the interviews with Ramsdale and Holding afterwards, saying like, it took 6 years for you to score a goal, and 6 years to and a new hairline to score a goal. I think was the first league goal for Arsenal, which I thought was quite funny from the interview after the game from Ramsdale. Good characters. There's a good bond there between the players. There's no question about it, and it's a strong bond, and hopefully that can continue for the rest of the season. I think the one thing that kind of went under the radar for Arsenal people is that we've achieved European football and we're back. We're guaranteed a Europa League spot now for next season, which is, we want to get Champions League football. Of course we do, but at the same time, it's a positive achievement. That was our minimal target, was to get back into European football, and Arsenal have achieved that, so that's a huge positive. And if you look at the table, we're in fourth now. We've played 34 games and we're on 63 points, and we have a plus 13 of goal difference. Now, if you look at Tottenham, then they're 2 points behind us on 61 points, but they have a better goal difference. They have a 7 goal better goal difference. And Chelsea, who also have a phenomenal goal difference, but which is like an extra point for them. But they're only 3 points ahead of us at the minute, so it could be very close. Chelsea could get dragged into that. Um, Fight for the Champions League spot. I think Chelsea will have. I think they have done enough already, to be honest, to guarantee a Champions League spot. But you never know. And I like the way Ramsdale said after the game that there's Arsenal aiming as high as they can possibly go. So that's huge in terms of mentality. That's great to see. Yeah, and before I go on to the game of the weekend against Leeds, great shout out to the women's team who are keeping their fight for the league title against Chelsea. 3-0 victory over Tottenham Hotspur at the Emirates. Welcome sight for any Arsenal fan to see. It was Maid and Ford who got the goals for Arsenal, and it was great to see Ireland's own Katie McCabe also highly involved in the Arsenal women's team as well, which is a fantastic sight. And the table, it's going to go into the last day now. Arsenal are on 52 points in second place, with the Chelsea women's team on 53 points then, going into the last game. Now, the last game sees us playing West Ham at 12 o'clock on Sunday in the FA Women's Super League. And then Chelsea will be in action then against Manchester United also at 12 o'clock on Sunday. So hopefully, if things go according to plan, if we can get a swing of results there, uh, there's only a point between them. So if Chelsea can either draw or lose and Arsenal win the Women's Super League title, which would absolutely be a fantastic achievement. Now, the game against Leeds for the men's team is at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Now, Arsenal fans will know that Liverpool are playing Tottenham Hotspur also on, I think it's on Saturday, that game. So we'll actually know by the time Arsenal play how that game will go. It's a strange time. It's at 7:45, the game against Liverpool and Tottenham for fans. Keep an eye out for that one. But then our game, which is the one we'll be concentrating on the most, is at 2 o'clock on Sunday against Leeds. And Leeds, it'll be a tough game, I think, because Leeds are fighting for relegation at the moment. They're in 17th place on 34 points, and they're only, I think there's not much of a gap between them and Everton. There's 2 points between them, and Everton have a game in hand also as well. So Leeds are very much still in that relegation battle. Watford, for sure, this weekend it'll be relegated, I would think. So it's a fight for the last place. Then it's between Burnley, Leeds, and Everton to stay up or to go down. So Leeds for sure. We have to play Everton, of course, in the last one of our last games of the season. We have Leeds first, and then we have Tottenham Hotspur next, and then Newcastle, and then Everton. So we have, like, even Newcastle will be a very tough game for us as well. So there's nothing taken for granted. It's as long as Arsenal keep winning their games and getting maximum points, that is the most important thing. But this game against Leeds will be for sure a very tough game. I expect it to be extremely tough. In fact, and if we get 3 points and Tottenham lose, we'll have a nice 5 point cushion going into the North London Derby next week. And if we take that positive aspect and go with that, and if we can, so the ideal scenario for Arsenal fans for sure would be that for Tottenham to lose to Liverpool and for Arsenal to beat Leeds would be 5 points ahead going into the North London Derby. If we can beat Tottenham then in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we will be guaranteed fourth spot, which would be a phenomenal achievement, I think, for this Arsenal team. Not many people would have backed Arsenal to be in the Champions League spot, so that would be dreamland. I'm not trying not to get ahead of myself, but it'd be a great, fantastic sight if that does happen, and to win it at Tottenham Hotspur would also be extra sweet as well. But we have to get the job done against Leeds first, and as I said, this game against Leeds will be a tough game. Leeds' last three games, Manchester City bet them 4-0 there comfortably at Ellen Road. They drew 0-0 with Crystal Palace, which was a good result, and they bet Watford 3-0. So we should be confident going into this game, but as I said, I don't take anything for granted. I think this will be a hard game against Leeds United for sure. You might recall the game against them earlier in the season. It was a 4-1 victory, in fact, over Leeds. Actually a very satisfying result from an Arsenal point of view. Martinelli was among the goal scorers that night, I recall, and Saka and Smith Rowe as well. We got it was 4-1 to Arsenal, and I remember Ben White got a very cheap penalty away in that game as well. It was like a definite penalty, so we'll be looking to avoid that kind of scenario happening again. But if by that stage the game was done, so I think Arsenal fans will be hoping for a very quick start. Going back to that Leeds game, Martinelli actually scored, I think it was in the 15th minute, the first goal. And then by half time, Arsenal were 3-0 up. I think Arsenal fans would certainly take that um, on Sunday for sure. Nice, comfortable, relaxing Sunday afternoon, I think, is what Arsenal fans want for sure going into the games against Tottenham and Newcastle and eventually Everton to decide our Champions League fate. And of course, it's a different type of Leeds team because Bielsa's not there anymore, of course, as the Leeds manager. Jesse Marsh has come in now to take on the reins at Leeds, and he's met them very much a different opposition to what we would have faced before in for Leeds in the Premiership. But again, it should be a tough game. Rafinha is a top player for Leeds. He's got 10 goals this season with 3 assists, and Jack Harrison as well is another class player, and Rodrigo as well. But Harrison's performance, the performance I remember from Leeds that shocked everyone in the Premiership was the game against West Ham. You might recall they just turned up and really set the world alight, really, in that game against West Ham because no one had backed Leeds to come and to beat West Ham in their own home turf. They came there and won. I think it was something like, yeah, it might have been 3-2 to Leeds. I remember Harrison scored a hat trick for them that day because I was watching at the time. I was thinking, wow, what a performance from Leeds. Bielsa was still the manager at that point, of course, but it a class performance from them. And the game against Wolves as well. A couple of weeks ago, they were 2-0 down to Wolves and came back and won 3-2. Just a serious performance away from home. So I think all Arsenal fans will be hoping that doesn't happen on Sunday. I think it won't be an easy game. It'll be a nervy game, to be honest with you. But looking forward to it. And as I said, we'll know by the time Sunday comes around what our position is. If Tottenham have lost to Liverpool on Saturday night, we'll have a nice little incentive to go ahead and try and beat Leeds. And if we beat Leeds, hopefully we'll be 5 points ahead of Tottenham going into the North London Derby next week. So that's the hope and that is the aim, I think, for all Arsenal fans. So that's the end of this week's podcast discussing Arsenal football and Brian's review show. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back probably a bit earlier next week because of the Tottenham game on Thursday night. So I'll have a podcast out hopefully early next week. So from now till then, please enjoy the football, enjoy the programme. All podcast episodes are available on your different platforms, wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, anywhere you find them, we're most likely there, so you can check out all that. And I would really appreciate any comments or shares that you might like to provide. So from Brian's review show for this week, up the Gunners.
Oh, Charlie George, who can hit him. Oh, Rodrigo! Charlie George!
Discussing Arsenal football. This is Brian's review show.
Henri! What a goal! Inspiration for Arsenal from Thierry Henry.